Hey, how's it going? Today is Sunday. Every Sunday, perhaps starting with only Sundays. Most likely, I'm gonna progress to Saturdays and Sundays. But either way, every Sunday we're taking a look at finance, everything with regards to finance, everything what people. I personally believe everyone should focus on that. That's not only that's one of the many ways how people can measure a lot of things, right? Finance just being one of those metrics, which should be important, if anything. Within this video, I'm gonna be taking a look at Pentagon. That's defense, if anything, defense industry within the U.S. and how well they are performing. Within this video, I'm gonna be taking a look at Pentagon and how it failed. How many? 6 times now, 6 years in a row now, every single year. So why would people even care what will happen next year, right? Let's take a look at some information that I managed to find about audit that was performed at Pentagon. There were need to account to all the assets and overall company's performance, where they're spending the money, how that money was approved for spending, all the assets. It was, from what I understand, there's 3.8 trillion of dollars that again they cannot account for. So it was given just for spending. It was its budget as a organization. This is what kind of budget they are working with, and they need to keep a track of all the spending, right? So if you yourself, if you are individual, if you're self-employed, or perhaps you are planning of running a company, if you're not running a company already, if it's something that you're gonna need to deal with, you want it or not, perhaps. Counting all your expenses, how you performing, the taxes, everything, spending, and overall projection, all the good things, right? And let's take a look at some of the articles of there that I managed to find, and let's cover this topic in more detail. The Pentagon fails its annual financial audit for the sixth year straight years. The Defense Department Chief Financial Officer announced Wednesday. For those who are following the history, 9/11, then the Twin Towers fell, right? So that's, I personally believe that was the point where I have seen for the first time how U.S. defense industry of the defense complex entirely and how freely and how they are counting of some of the money that was given to that organization and how they're not tracking any of that, because it's better to not track anything so that people cannot be accountable for, if that makes sense. So we're talking about accounting and auditing, how people are tracking all the spending, how much money are we talking about? Trillions, right? When it's not even a billions, right? We're talking about trillions of dollars, right? And there's no accountability. No one's being held responsible for anything what this organization, military organization, is doing. One of the biggest militaries in the world, what they're doing with the money, no one's tracking it. Which is kind of interesting idea. Interesting subject, right? So, what kind of organizations they can fund? How many assault rifles will been bought out would end up in one organization, one country, supporting one group, so there's no accountability there. Well, if anything, perhaps they're working for their own interest, if anything, when it's supporting and funding and everything good things that this organization is doing, right? CFO or Chief Financial Officer Michael J. Court told reporters that the Pentagon, with 3.8 trillion in assets and 4 trillion in liabilities, is making progress towards a clean audit, but that's the failure we're making towards, right? So perhaps I don't know what would do to you rest of the people, rest of the organizations, right, if they would fail that many times. Would receive a fines? Would they with pay cuts, to say the least? That people not performing. So there's a standard, and everyone's performing up to a standard, right? So if there's a standard, and everyone's the rest of us, or as far as I know, the rest of organizations, they need to manage their budgets, right? When it comes to accounting, how you working with your money, within your budget, how you're staying with that, how you're working with that. I don't know. People should be held accountable if they're not performing up to a standard, right? Especially for government institutions, which governments later is chasing the rest of people, right? Making sure that they are performing up to a standard. But either way, that's just my personal opinion. I'm very biased, I guess, and when it comes to accounting and what people are doing with the tax money. It's not a surprise that the department still has years worth of work to do to reach its goals. Things are showing progress, but it's not enough, he said. So, if anything, he needs to make a statement for the taxpayers, to say the least. Right? So they're making progress when it comes to accounting. Perhaps they have some bad players, to say the least. Right? Three-star generals, and it can be a mess, right? And people should be held accountable. I can understand when it comes to sometimes working with those governments up there, right? So it's good that they're making a progress to making people more accountable for whatever they're doing, right? So at least less shady things will be happening, if not right now, in the future. Annual audit is conducted by independent public accounting firms and a DoD Office of the Inspector General. Some 1,600 auditors and 700 site visits were involved in the Pentagon spent a report of 187 million on the process. So this is how much they spent, right, to bring all that. It's something that they never done, right? It just perhaps even accounting is something that they have started doing very recently, perhaps 7 years ago, when it was required by the Congress, right, to begin doing audit, right? So once they been told to start doing it, right? This is how much stuff. Uh, 1,600, right? So I don't know what's CIA, that's Central Intelligence within U.S. What's the size? It's about 46,000 people that works for CIA within the U.S. Right? So perhaps they need to sit down and perhaps take some courses, if anything, about spending, having a budget. I have, myself, I have published a course, right, on this kind of subjects if people are interested about how to run a budget, how to have a budget in the first place, right? Either way. So this is how many people they have to get involved in, and this is how much it costs, 187 million. It's a lot of money. Why that might be important for rest of the people, what I don't know, if many of people watching this video are tracking or what's happening within the world, right? And if anything, just having a record, people or holding people accountable with whatever is happening, right? We're not talking about a corner, I don't know, ice cream shop, right? That makes sense. As well as worth noting that President Joe Biden has requested a record 886 billion Pentagon budget for the next financial year, a request that the Republican Congress has sought to add another 80 billion to, even if they threaten a government shutdown or what they say is excessive government spending. So they're looking to increase that, which is kind of, I understand why they were looking to increase, because of value of currencies and all overall will go down, right? So if anything, they will like to keep things the same value, hold on to the same value, but either way. So to say the least, right? So just to give a balanced perspective, but either way, people, in my opinion, people not hold accountable to what they should perform, to say the least, working for government institutions, right? If you're interested in learning more, I have published a book, Rise Impact, and within this book, I'm focusing on livestock enterprise, which should be important for people to become more self-sufficient, more effective when it comes to covering some of those monthly expenses that you yourself, if it's something where you would like to begin, where you would like to start. And from there, you can progress from personal, perhaps budget, and managing personal budget, reducing some of those expenses. You can progress into generating capital every month that you can cover some of those expenses, right? If a tax man will come, to say the least, right? And as for all the receipts, right? You say, I don't know where the receipts are. For whatever reason, right? 6 years in a row, I don't know where your receipts are. You can find this book, QR code in the corner or the website below. I don't know if there's anyone there who should be held accountable for whatever happens if any government institution fail to perform, perhaps or the private companies. That's my personal opinion, if to say the least, right? So, private companies or government institutions, everyone should be treated the same, right? If anything. So, if I would fail to file my tax returns and all the accounts and statements, I would be held accountable for that for whatever reasons, or we need to ask for more time, depending on what's happening in the world, right? But either way, so if to say the least 6 years in a row, people need to do something about it, right? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.